2014's Halo 2 Anniversary was legitimately the last remaster of a game that I was looking forward to. Getting to experience this game all over again in 1080p and 60 FPS was a treat, but one particular feature that I and many others were looking forward to was the news that the remastering was being done by Blur Studios, the company behind the cinematics for the Batman Arkham series, the original Halo Wars, and 2019's Love, Death, and Robots. Needless to say, the community was beyond hyped. And for the most part, yeah, Halo 2 Anniversary was exactly the game we were hoping for, when it worked, but I'm just going to talk about the campaign cinematics, specifically the opening cutscene. The cutscenes, for the most part, are great, some even outshining the original. Unfortunately, it didn't have the best first impression. It's my opinion that Blur Studios completely ruined the cinematography of the first scene, and removed all the meaning the shots had. It's subtle, but even my dumb gamer brain picked up on how it wasn't as impactful as the original. So, I'm no filmmaker, but I think I understand enough basic knowledge of framing a scene to know what it subconsciously tells an audience.
The issues with the cutscene begin almost immediately. As we can see, the Arbiter and all three prophets are shot in frame. Truth is one of the main antagonists of the entire trilogy, and for this to be his reveal is kind of lame. If you look in the original, only two are visible. In terms of realism, does it make much sense? No. But Bungie purposely hid the third character to create build-up and a meaningful reveal. This shot had a purpose. In the next shot, we see more of the same. We can see all three prophets and even Truth speaking. There's no interesting framing or angle in this scene. Nothing tells the audience that he's the one in charge. Also, what is this composition? We have three characters in the background and one in the foreground, slightly overlapping the character speaking. What's supposed to be the focal point of this shot? It's a mess. Back to the original, we can see Bungie used some of the wall to cover our view, preventing us from seeing all three prophets. Now, if we slide a rule of thirds grid on, we can see the Arbiter just about fits on the focal point. He's clearly supposed to be our main focus of this shot. Again, framing with a purpose. This one is a bit of a nitpick for sure, but it demonstrates one of the many issues with this opening. The timing is off, as well as having no transition effects. We can hear the Prophet of Regret asking about the Halo ring before it's even in shot. When it does appear, it's just a harsh cut, not even a gentle fade in like the original. Let me show you how I would have done this.
When you first saw Halo, were you blinded by its majesty?
There. The timing is more appropriate, and it's not such a harsh cut. Now, on the surface, these two shots look almost identical, where an angry mob is silenced by a pair of hands from a single figure. But in terms of context, they couldn't be more different. In the original, this is our first glimpse of Truth. He is finally revealed, slowly pushing forward between his fellow two prophets. This short introduction tells the audience so much, that he's a powerful figure who the crowd obeys. Him coming forward past the other two to speak shows us that he's the one in charge. In Blur's version, we've already fully seen this character. There was no build-up or mystery. He's usually shot on equal footing next to the other two prophets, which doesn't really tell us anything about this character's status. Where are the low-angle shots to show his superiority to those around? Why isn't he ever framed above any other character? These are basic shot compositions in filmmaking, and it's strange to see them not used by Blur in this opening. Now for the scene where the Arbiter is taken away by the brutes. In the original, you can see as a brute tries to reach for him, the Arbiter makes an intimidating lunge, which the brute backs up with a terrified expression on his face, showing that this elite is still highly feared and not to be messed with. This small interaction tells us so much. In the remake, I don't know what happens. The brute swipes at the back of his arm, then the Arbiter growls at him, while the brute's body language and expression remain unchanged. It's a strange interpretation of a very clear scene. This version tells us nothing about the characters. All these weird changes and omissions really alter the feel of the scene, pretty drastically in my opinion. For the hell of it, one more dumb change for the very last shot. Just look at this beautiful transition from scene to scene. Truth's crown light slowly fades to reveal Earth's moon, seamlessly telling us, the audience, we have now moved locations. It's perfect. It's beautiful. Now, for the remake, harsh cut, no fade in, no interesting transition. It's flat, lifeless, and dull. Why would you ruin such a nice shot? Am I saying that all the Blur cutscenes are bad? No, not at all. Again, in some cases they're even better than the original. Just I personally feel like the opening introduction wasn't handled the best, and I hope you're now able to view the original in a new light and have an appreciation for the cinematography and the clarity of the shots.